Welcome to Text World. Welcome to the Agora. Thank you for your presence today, even if the difficulties of the French strikes. So I'm very happy to welcome you here for our trend presentation. I'm Louis Gérin, one of the art director of the show, and I will today lead to you into the lecture presentation of our trend. For the first time, our Agora area presentation is located in the center of our trend forum. So at the end of our presentation, you can see directly how the theme that we are going to speak about are taking life, are coming real, are going into the reality of the market. So, what's about the Text World Trends? Text World Trends is established 2 times a year by a specific team of researchers, writers, songwriters, sociologists, psychologists that are grouping together twice a year to confrontate and to discuss about what move us, what makes sense into the population, what makes sense for the consumers. I don't use very often the word consumers because I don't like a lot to qualify humans as consumers, but we are in industries. We are speaking about our desire to get things, so we are even if we don't want in a consumer situation. But I speak much more, you will see, in a kind of esoteric way. So please open your chakra, just relax, sit down with me, and then we will go through this amazing season. So this season, we are going about our senses. We are going about our new senses. We are going about this new world which is offering to us a very digital world, a world which is not as real as we think, which is an alternative world that we are going to build actually. We will see in this presentation in 2 times. First, 8 segments of thought that are materializing into aesthetics, that are the preoccupation, that are what matters the people, the consumer actually. And then in a second time, we will see how this matters, this question, these topics are grouping, coming together, are utilizing themselves by the other to create the aesthetics of tomorrow. So we are going to our first senses, our premier sens. What is about this first topics? It is this leading thread. This leading thread of the consumer, of the human, this desire to get sense, to understand things, to see the things clearly, to understand what is the structure, how it's built, that it's clear, that there is no lie, that what we see is what we see, that we are not flued out. The problem in the season actually, and that's why we are going to speak about these senses, to hear, to feel, to touch, to eat, to be alive, because we are still be alive, but we are going to project ourselves in a life that is no more physical. The metaverse, the social media, the digital world is growing more and more, and taking us into this non-physical life. So our first desire as human is to be sure that we are still human, and we want to follow this leading thread. We want to follow, to see what's real, what's not, to see the structure. So a lot of thought about the structure, the transparencies, the bones, the how stuff are done, la trame, the weft and the width of the life will be clearly exposed to the consumer to see what's behind, to be really in a very strong and in a very useful development. The second aspect is this sovereign vibration, because we are going to enter this non-physical life, as I said, and I explain it, and we are going to be alive. So what's make us alive really, compared to the nature, compared to the desire we have as human to go further, to go more high, to go in a better future, is really to go forward, to move forward, to go sovereignly into a new future, to go in a new sovereign vibration, but to not reproduce the mistake of the past. No, and I said it, we want to clearly follow this leading thread, to go in the right direction, but we want to be sovereign, to go to there, because we know that we have made too much mistake in the past into the nature, that we have destroyed this nature, that our environment is really destroying, disappearing because of our fault. So that's this desire of to make it good, to make it in the flow, because we cannot fight against this natural flow of light that makes us evolve. And that's why we will discover all this aesthetic about this quiet flow, all the repetitive movement, the slow movement of the light, the evolution movement, something that explain and express this vibration, which is very in a serene situation for us. I can make the citation, the sentences of Charles Baudelaire. The air is full of the thrill of things running away. Because that's what we thought, and that's what we know. We know that tomorrow, if we continue, will not be. So we have to change our vision for tomorrow. We have to follow this flow, but we have to follow this flow really more quietly to find what we expect to find. What we expect to find is what we have been educated in, is this euphoric explosion, this desire to consume, to get things, to be the owner of things. Because in the social environment, actually, you are because you own. You own as you are. So it's what you own that defines who you are. But the consumer today don't want it anymore. They want to be right. They want to be themselves. You hear there is a lot of discussion about what is to be themselves, to be a male, to be a female, to be a non-binary person, to express really clearly and very violently who we are in the nature of the things. That's this euphoric explosion, this joy that we want to show to the world, that we are here, that we are human, that we have this culture, that we have this possibility of being there, and that we have understand this possibility. And we want an explosion, we want something euphoric, because we are like this. We are human, we are alive, so we are attracted by what's move, what's make effusion, what is not calm. If you look at the quietly of a forest, if you think to the definition of what can be the primary nature, you have the image, for example, of a jungle that appear to your eyes. A jungle, if you see and if you think about it, it's a kind of quiet space. But the setting of this space is really not quiet. It's totally euphoric. It's full of different spaces. It's full of animal, herbs, colors. Everything is intertwined in each other. It's a full and a complete and serene ecosystem that live in life, in an euphoric explosion of life, but in a serene way. That's what we want to reproduce, and that's why we will have all these aesthetics about this communication of nature and of ourselves. This deep vision of what is a self, what is an expression, what is a division, what is life, how life happen, what we are going to be, what we really make as human. When we discover this, when we discover why we want to be there and why we want to be so human, what makes us human, and that we are not this superhuman, nature is much more superior to us, and we have thought about all our mistakes, we want just to go in this fearful voluptuousness. We want to live every day with joy, with quiet feeling, with a serene feeling. We want to live our life to think in tomorrow, but to not to think in tomorrow in a dark way. We want to think tomorrow to be pink, to be soft, to be cool, to be loved, to be peace. We don't want war. We don't want to have a strong confrontation. We want this fearful voluptuousness of life. We want to be in life as in our beds. We want to be human as we are human. We don't want that our body, and that's why we have all these images of the different part of the body that are coming to the front of the scene, that are coming back in the aesthetic, is how this body, this human body, will go in this non-physical world that we are going to create. Because this is an alternative that we have to create with this non-physical world, this metaverse, is just to have this life that we can't have in a physical way. We are no human, we want to consume, we want to have joy, we want to be quiet, but we know at the point we are that making this as human in the physical world make to destroy this physical world and is against us, against our life, against the process of life itself, and we see it. So that's why, and what we think in our team of trend analysis, that this second world, this non-digital life, is an alternative life to just live exactly what we want, to live our deepest fantasy, to create over that we can't create in the physical world, because we have physical rules in the reality, but in the metaverse, in the digital, in this phygital world, there is no rules. Everything is possible. The impact on this digital environment is zero, except that this non-digital world has the real existence in the reality, but that we are going to see actually this balance between these two worlds, how we can grow up, how we can have this life grows with serenity. This life grows is expressed a lot with a lot of aesthetics, of element movement that are expressing this life natural physical movement. Like a worms, which is growing into the earth, like a corals, which is developing, like a words which make eclosion, like an explosion, like a gradient light, like the shining of the light, like the sun ray, like everything which is physical. We will have fun to reproduce it, to reproduce this spontaneous growth, this movement of life, this manifestation of life that we see, that make us think and that make us understand that we are alive. We will reproduce it into this digital world. We will copy this non-seeable and non-catchable physical aspect, the light, the gradient, the sun ray, to integrate it in our non-physical life. So we are going to transport ourselves from a physical reality to a non-physical reality to get this new breath, this second breath that we have called, this second vision for our life, for our world, this new vision for our physical world. Because now, in our physical world, we have this one is very difficult for me. Consciousness. Sorry. We are conscious that we do just crap, that we are in the middle of a big, huge, trashes mountain, and that we have to deal with that. So what we do, we take into this trashy stuff, we take these old ruins, these old memories of our old physical world, and we are going to build, like a puzzle, with this fragment, a new world. We are going to assembly, we are going to give new sense to what was before something. We are going to not discredit the reality, but to give a new reality to the reality. That's the vision that we have, this new breath, this new aesthetic which came from the trashes. The consumers don't want, I said it in introduction, not to make it nice, they want to make it good. They have this non-digital, this non-physical life to make it beautiful. The beautiful is not the good, and the good is not necessarily beautiful. Something that that appear ugly, that appear old, that appear trash, that appear unuseful, that appear not fashionable anymore is no fashionable. Because what is fashionable today, what is on trends today, to be on trends today is to think to the future, is to build a future for tomorrow. We don't care about the look, about the color of this future. The consumer don't anymore have this diktat for what I look like. They have a social imperance. They have Instagram to do this. They can create their own images. They can create their own physical envelope with this digital world, with this avatar, with this phygital world. Even if that the people don't make the difference of what is real and what is not real. Can you tell me on this picture which one are picture and which one are digital vision of the reality? I think that you will say all these images are picture. No, just 4 of them are the reality. The rest is just generated by a computer. No, there is ChatGPT that can answer for you to question. There is ChatGPT that can solve for you mathematical problem, that can write for you a dissertation, a letter. They can substitute to what you are thinking about. So that's why this phygital world can think for us. No, we have the duty to think for our physical world and to create this new tomorrow, this unexpected journey, this unexpected world around us. We are going, as I said, to give this new breath, to assembly, to put together, to intertwine all these different elements, all these elements from the past, to link them together, to link them with vision, with knowledge, with preservation, with a whole sense of what is important and what is not, how can things that cannot meet can meet together. We are going to put on the first row this very strong manifestation of the physical words, the strong colors, the acid colors, the strong weft on weft effect, the vision of the knot, the vision of the assembly, the cut, the strong cut, the spike, everything which is really eye-catchy, and everything that makes us think about the movement and about the fact that we are collecting our whole world to project us in a new future is going to be together. So this is a little bit what we expect, and what I said for tomorrow is this carefree filter, is this we want to just go out this fear, to go out this non-pleasant future which is offering in front of us today, this global warming, this increase of life, this war, this world war in the door of the Europe, this conflict between the culture, this leadership that the countries take to make each other. We are too much intertwined as a world here's civilization today to be able to do that. We know that we cannot be divided. We know that there is only one planet, that there is no B solution, that this planet is finished, that we cannot continue to think to an infinite grow up, but we want to go in this carefree filter. We want to think to the future with no heavy thought. That's the result of this digital split in our life, a physical and real daily life with our physical body and our mind, which is going to evolve to live from in his own way. Is in his own way. Nice. To live his own life with this carefree filter in a carefree life with full of joy, with no fear, no angst, no pain, a non-physical life. But we have to say, and I said it in first introduction, at the end, we are human. We want to be more than to be human. We want to have this amazing meta life, this physical life, non-digital, non-physical digital life. But we are human, and we have to deal with. At the end, we are finally consumers. So we have to develop new senses, because we can hear, we can touch, we can feel, we can taste, we can see in the reality, but in this non-reality reality, in this alternative reality, how are our senses? Is your sense of viewing, is your sense of seeing the same in this digital reality that in the physical life? No, because we are in a digital world, we are in a non-real world. So what you see, what you hear, what you feel, it's not the reality, it's an alternative. So that's what we are going to illustrate this season, is these new senses that are going to fill us, to take us above us into the season. The first one will be what we will first have of impression entering in this new world, in this digital world, is just the same that when you open a window on your website, on your web browser. What happens? Pop-up, pop-up, stuff, publicity, colors, colors, give, everything sparkling, woo, 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 woo. So you are totally dampened. You don't know where to look, you don't know what to hear. The same, you hear music, you open a website, there is another music with something speaking, someone speaking, a sound is coming, a subtitle then. So you have a multiplicity of information that are coming all around you, dumping you, that's making that you are full of info, of vibration that make nearly you drove, and nearly that you are damped by all this shaking world. But we want serenity, and we want to go in something that make us more quiet. We said it. So we will have this kind of growing high aesthetics, but high aesthetic that comfort us into what we know. We will try to reassure ourselves in this dampened world. Even this motif, this pattern, this color are kind of aggressive, are kind of vivid. We will try to slow down them, to erase them, to make them more soft into the texture, into the appearance. We will have this plant stunning, cyan lapping, hydrated phosphate, super sparkling blue, this melodious spell, extra bright Barbie pink, that are going to mix together to create a kind of strong sweetness, to just permit us to support this dampen and over quantity of elements that are coming to us. We accept to be overwhelmed, but we want it quiet, a kind of luxury overwhelmed by the color and the different possibility of existence. The second aspect we are going to feel together is to touch, to just soft touch the non-physical. How can we deal with this non-physical and our body? How can we project ourselves into that in the same way that we want to be sure of the reality, when we want more sustainability, when we want to reaffirm that we are human, that we are good human, that we are not just this stupid animal that destroyed the planet. We want to make it better. So we will have all these aspects that will permit us to see directly what it is. We will have all this wift and weft aspect. We will have this animal and soft, the rough aspect, and very strong broken things will come together to create the nice and the soft aspect, and the rough and the soft will confront themselves to create a kind of environment into the texture, into the pattern that make feel us in a way technological and in another way prehistorical. It's a kind of junction where we take the consciousness, I tell it, this physical, this digital world, it non-exists because it's digital, but it exists because it's computer that are producing electric impulsion. But what are made this computer? What is the component of this non-reality? There is stone, there is rare metals, there is physical aspect. So this physical aspect, we will find it back into the texture, this stone metallic thread linking effect that are going to create a kind of new prehistorical craftsmanship, a kind of digital craftsmanship that express deeply the naturality of the material. The cotton, the weaving, the knitting will be really seeable into the material, into the surfaces, into the texture of the fabrics to create this soft touch feeling in a non-touchable environment. So it's always this dichotomic vision of what existing, what is not existing, what is the reality, what's the things I see real, or what's the thing I see non-physical. That's really what we are going to determine as well with this get a glimpse feeling, this entrevoir, just to glimpse on the future that we have illustrated with this kind of blue stripes, that you are not going to see the reality anymore. You are now seeing the news on the TV, but every one of each of you after this COVID crisis don't believe too much or too strongly of what are news on the TV or in the newspaper. You always think, is it a real news? Is it a journalistic news? Or is it a propaganda? That's something that we cannot discern today. When you go on a website on internet, you have always to check if what I read is the right definition of what I read. If you go to Wikipedia, you have definition for the words, but they are not the official word legitimate definition. It's not, for example, for us in France, it's a very strong conflict because we have the dictionary in France, and all the words that are in the dictionary, they are established by the French Academy, and the French Academy are very representative. We call them sages, people who have a very strong, deep, long, recognized experience in their domain, that are the leading brain in their domain, philosophy, literature, mathematics, and they are grouping together to say, okay, this new word is a new word, it means that. But when you go on a website and you see the definition, or what is the feedback of an event, what are the news, for example, of the life of Beyoncé, we don't know who's this person. We know the image of this person, but we don't know her. But we think we know her. That's what we have as problem today. We just have a glimpse of the future. We just have a glimpse of what is tomorrow. We just have the glimpse of the reality. We have to take our reality by ourselves. So that's why we will have all this kind of natural touch, this kind of natural nuances, colors that are coming in a kind of pushy, digital, alive situation with this very strong and very bright tonality that are grouping together. Because we just get a glimpse, but at the end we are totally blinded by all this aspect, all this color, all this light, all this information that are coming to us, and even if we don't want. And you can make the experience when you go on to make a search for your knowledge on a website. I'm sure that all of you experiment this. You go to search something and you just discover you 5 minutes after buying something that you just don't need. That's really crazy, but that's how it happened. We want to see, we want to know the truth, but we just have a glimpse and we are totally perturbated. And that's what we try to express, and what we will have through the season. We will have all these very bright aspects, but are just are part of the reality. We will have kind of animal prints, but they are nearly animal prints in color that doesn't exist. We will have this eclosion, flower motif, flower pattern, this development, wavy growing pattern, but just at the half. This kind of natural reproduction of gradient, but in a very too much way. Everything is or too much or just half real. Just as people just became to be today, they became to see an image of themselves, but they just see the good part of themselves, not the total reality on themselves. And that's what we are going to solve into this future, into this dichotomic digital realistic world, is this desire to swallow, to go over this world, that we, as I said, are human at the end, and even we want, even we try, even we built a non-physical world to express ourselves, to escape ourselves of our reality. At the end, we are totally swallowed by the world. We are part of one world, that we want or not. We are surrounded by nature. We have to care by nature. We have related with her. We have related with it, her, his, it. It's question that we have deeply today. Is a man social stuff, or is a man a physical stuff? Is being a woman a social stuff or a physical stuff? Is being transgender natural, or is being transgender something that is not in the development? There are questions that we are going to have today, because we just take conscience that at the end we are just human. We have our five senses, but these five senses, we feel the world around us. They are not the world. The world is what it is. The life is what it is. What we see is what we see, but the reality is not what we see. We are part of a world something, we just feel some part of this something. We don't know anything. And that's what expresses this swallow thematics, is that we are overwhelmed, we are under this, we are smaller than this, we are just part of this, and we are to follow just this. This what we have drawn for our future, what we have planned, what we have calculated, what we have put in an amazing and extraordinary figures, it doesn't happen because we are not the pilot of the life, we are just the pilot of our life. What we have designed to be a straight line can become, as we see in the pattern, a curve tomorrow, can become of the desire of nature, and we don't know if it's a desire, it's an action, it's plan, it's what we call the hazard, or what we call sometimes the destiny. It's something that we don't know. It's between space and time. In our just small moment we exist as human, that we have to live and that we have to express this life as it is, just making that all this digital is just a part, a vision of a reality, an alternative reality, which is not the reality that we are living today. And that's what we'll express, because at the end, what we try to analyze with all this element is what we thought, what we think, what matter us, and how it concretize this into colors, into aspect, into texture. The most important, we have speak about texture, pattern, element, and here are the star color of the season that we can see are organized in two different tabs. One main tab of 8 colors that are taking shades of metallics. These colors is, if you look at them carefully in the book, you will see that they have this deep metallized feeling into them. They are natural color that are push into the non-reality with this metallic feeling, this machine, this industrial, this physical digital machinery of the computer, this microprocessor that are now having life. This is what this color expect. And to just expect to and express that today we are no more in a diktat of fashion. Today it's not this color with this color. There is all the color, and the consumer choose to adjust this plus this plus this. The consumer choose to be who he wants to be, to put together the color he wants together. I will not say you this season it's blue with pink with a touch of yellow. I will tell you there is blue, there is pink, there is yellow, there is lemon, there is Barbie pink, there is deep shade, and each one of you that you are, you can mix them just up to you. If you don't like a color, you don't have to follow it. You have to be what you want to be. You have to express these senses, and our 5 senses that are not just defined by 7 colors and this multiplicity and infinity of tones. They are just this infinity of tones, though they cannot be reduced, what we are, to a soft touch. So that's why the color of the season will project you into this half physical, half digital, this new feeling for the world, a world that we can feel and non-feel in a physical aspect in the same time. So I hope that this presentation just inspire you, just open some ways in your mind and in your creative reflection to create together this new world for tomorrow. Thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for your presence, and if you have questions, I'm just around for the next minutes. Thanks a lot. Thank you.